Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. New York, a sweltering summer morning. Ava Johnson, a stylish black entrepreneur in her 30s, walks into Manhattan Trust Bank with a mixture of hope and determination. Today, she must finalize a crucial loan for her design business, a project she built through hard work and sacrifice. The bank lobby is luxurious: polished marble, sparkling chandeliers, and cream leather armchairs. Employees smile at the white customers who quickly come and go, as Ava heads to the office of the manager, Mark Reynolds. She has had an appointment confirmed for a week, but no sooner has she set foot in front of his office than Mark informs her of a slight delay and asks her to wait. As the minutes tick by, the delay turns into hours. 3 long hours pass, and Ava sits there, polite but increasingly aware of the injustice she's experiencing. The other customers, almost all white, are seen immediately, their requests handled with smiles and impeccable efficiency. Every time Ava tries to approach the desk to ask for an update, Mark brushes her off with a banal excuse or a condescending look. Despite the anger boiling inside her, Ava remains calm. She knows that giving in to frustration would be exactly what some are hoping for, to see her lose her dignity and composure. So she pulls out her phone, ready to document this silent humiliation. What she doesn't know yet is that this unfair wait will trigger an unexpected event, capable of changing her life and upending Mark Reynolds' power. Ava Johnson settled into a cream leather armchair in the lobby, trying not to let her irritation show. She glanced at her watch: 9:05 a.m. Her appointment was for 9 a.m. The air conditioning made the air almost pleasant, but the humiliation was beginning to weigh heavily on her shoulders. Around her, white customers rushed in and out. A businessman walked past her, greeted by an employee who opened the door with a warm smile. Ava took a deep breath and tried to remain calm. She knew that showing her frustration would only reinforce the silent prejudice weighing on her. 3/4 of an hour passed. Then an hour. Every time Ava asked an employee, "Excuse me, could you check on my appointment with Mr. Reynolds?" she received only a vague apology. "He'll be with you in a few minutes." Or, "He's had a setback, please hold." At 2 o'clock, Ava began to feel the tension rising in her stomach. Politeness and patience had their limits. She watched Mark Reynolds, the manager, through the glass of his office. He was talking to other customers, laughing, and taking calls, never looking up at her. The stares of other customers and employees only accentuated her discomfort. Some looked away, others scrutinized her with curiosity mixed with judgment. Ava felt every second of the wait like a reminder that her skin color seemed to justify this treatment. But Ava had learned to turn anger into strength. She pulled out her phone and began mentally jotting down the details of her experience: the exact time, the words the employees said, Mark's attitude. Everything would be documented. She knew that one day, this humiliation could become a lever to change something, or someone. As she sighed and watched the clock hands slowly turn, Ava thought to herself, "They don't know who I am yet, and what they just unleashed could come back to haunt them." 2.5 hours had passed. Ava Johnson still sat in the lobby, her posture straight but her gaze cold. Her bag perched on her lap, she watched the comings and goings around her. Every smile she gave another white customer reminded her that she wasn't being treated with the same respect. She tried a new approach, standing up and walking towards Mark Reynolds' desk. "Excuse me, Mr. Reynolds, my date," she began politely. But he raised his hand, interrupting her. "I'm a little busy, ma'am. Please wait." His tone was condescending, almost contemptuous. Ava felt a spark of anger rise, but she suppressed it. She had learned to channel her rage. Pulling out her phone, she began discreetly filming the scene, not to impulsively take revenge, but to keep a factual record of this injustice. Every minute, every word, every discriminatory attitude had to be documented. She thought about everything she'd built with her design firm: years of sacrifice, sleepless nights, battles against doubts and prejudices. She knew that giving in to frustration in that luxurious lobby would only serve to fuel the stereotypes she'd always fought against. As the tension grew almost unbearable, Ava made a decision. She would release this video, and she would share it, not to humiliate Mark Reynolds, but to show that this discrimination still persisted, even in the most prestigious institutions. She knew she was not alone and that what she was experiencing would resonate with many others. A few minutes later, Mark, still preoccupied with other customers, failed to notice that Ava had begun recording. His satisfied smile, thinking she would eventually leave, would soon collide with a reality he had never anticipated. Ava whispered to herself, "They will understand that patience has its limits, and that dignity does not bend to the whims of arrogance." 3 hours into the wait, Ava Johnson felt it was time to act. Still holding her phone, she mentally replayed what she was going to say in the video: no anger, no exaggeration, just the truth. Every word had to be precise, every detail accurate. "Hello, my name is Ava Johnson," she began, her voice calm but firm. "I have been here at Manhattan Trust Bank for 3 hours for a confirmed appointment with the manager, Mr. Mark Reynolds. During this time, other customers were seen immediately. I am filming this video to document a blatant injustice." She scanned the lobby, taking in the luxurious waiting area and the staff continuing their routine as if nothing had happened. Her expression remained professional, but her message was clear: she would no longer tolerate this treatment. Once the video was finished, she discreetly posted it on her social networks, accompanied by a simple but powerful text: "Even in prestigious institutions, some people experience obvious discrimination. Patience has its limits." Just minutes later, the reactions began to pour in. Likes, supportive comments, and shares quickly multiplied. Local journalists, attracted by Ava's calm tone and dignity, began reaching out for more information. In the lobby, Mark Reynolds didn't notice anything. He continued talking to other customers, confident that the situation would remain confidential. But Ava knew that this simple action would set off a chain of events he could no longer control. She put down her phone and took a deep breath. Despite her anger and frustration, she suddenly felt powerful. 3 hours of humiliation had been transformed into a strategic, intelligent, and dignified act. She now had control of the narrative. And what she didn't know yet was that the bank's board of directors would be arriving very soon for a meeting, and they would be witnessing the scene, exactly when everything was about to change. Ava had barely finished posting her video when the mood in the lobby shifted subtly. Luxury cars pulled up outside the entrance, and a small group of elegantly dressed men and women walked through the bank's doors. They were the board members, there for an important meeting. They quickly scanned the lobby and immediately noticed Ava, sitting patiently but with impeccable posture, her phone resting on her lap. Some members exchanged surprised glances. It wasn't common to see a customer wait that long without losing her composure or showing frustration. Mark Reynolds, alerted by the unusual movement, stood up from his desk and walked towards them, flashing his confident smile. "Hello everyone, I..." But before he could continue, one of the council members interrupted him. "Mark, can you explain why this lady has been sitting here for 3 hours?" Mark's face tightened. "Oh, it's nothing, just a slight delay, we had some emergencies." But the board, made up of influential people who care about equity issues, wasn't convinced. They noticed the video on Ava's phone and the comments scrolling in real time. A woman from the council approached Ava with a reassuring smile. "Ms. Johnson, we're sorry for the wait. Can you explain what happened?" Ava, still calm, briefly recounted her experience. Every word was measured, every detail precise: the time of the appointment, the wait, the customers served before her, Mark's condescending behavior. Her voice wasn't trembling, but her eyes reflected an unwavering determination. The board exchanged worried glances, immediately realizing the magnitude of the incident. This wasn't just a matter of waiting, it was a blatant example of discrimination that, if not handled properly, could tarnish the bank's reputation. Ava felt a small smile tug at her lips. For the first time since the beginning of the morning, she felt like things were finally going to turn in her favor. The board of directors huddled around Mark Reynolds' desk, while Ava remained seated, her back straight, her phone still within reach. The silence in the lobby was heavy, almost palpable. The other clients watched, intrigued by the unusual tension. One of the board members, a stern-faced man in his 50s, spoke up, "Mr. Reynolds, we have been informed that this client has been waiting over 3 hours for a confirmed appointment. Can you explain your behavior?" Mark, visibly uncomfortable, tried to smile and downplay the situation. "It's just a slight delay. I had some emergencies." A woman from the council interrupted him sharply, "That's not a slight delay. A 3-hour wait for one customer is unacceptable. And it seems other customers were served immediately." Ava calmly pointed to her phone and said, "This is the video I recorded. Every minute, every interaction, everything is documented. I just showed what happened." The board watched the video and listened attentively. Murmurs could be heard among the members. Mark's attitude was clearly discriminatory and unprofessional. One of them added, "We have a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination. And it's clear that this policy was not respected." Mark tried to defend his position, stammering out clumsy excuses, but the council wouldn't let him continue. His credibility had just collapsed. Ava remained silent, but her gaze expressed a quiet strength. She knew the situation was now under control. A board member concluded, "We ask you to issue a public apology immediately, and we will seriously consider your position within the bank." Mark, flushed with shame, could only nod. Ava, for her part, felt a wave of relief and satisfaction. 3 hours of humiliation and unfair waiting had just transformed into a silent but powerful victory. The board wasted no time. Within minutes of the confrontation, an official statement was drafted and sent to all bank employees. It reiterated the bank's zero-tolerance policy for discrimination, and cited the incident involving Mark Reynolds as an example of unacceptable behavior. Mark, now fully aware of the magnitude of his actions, felt trapped. His colleagues looked at him with a mixture of surprise and judgment. Some murmured, shocked by the arrogance he had displayed for hours. Meanwhile, Ava Johnson received a flood of messages of support. The video she had posted circulated on social media, and many business owners and clients praised her patience, calm, and dignity. Local media even began contacting her to share her story. One of the board members approached Ava with a warm smile, "Ms. Johnson, we apologize for this situation. We would like to offer you personalized follow-up on your file and invite you to participate in our mentoring program for minority entrepreneurs. Your perseverance and professionalism are an example to all." Ava, always elegant and poised, replied humbly but firmly, "Thank you. I simply hope that this experience will serve to show that dignity and respect are not privileges, but rights for all, regardless of skin color." The turnaround was complete. What had begun as a public humiliation had become a powerful lever for Ava, highlighting Mark's unacceptable behavior and transforming his patience into recognition and concrete opportunities. That day, Ava understood that true strength lies not in aggressive confrontation, but in the ability to remain calm, document injustice, and turn every obstacle into a strategic victory. A few days after the incident, Ava Johnson received an official call from the bank's board of directors. They wanted to meet with her to finalize her loan application and discuss her involvement in the Minority Entrepreneur Mentorship Program. When Ava entered the meeting room, she was greeted with warm smiles and sincere handshakes. It was a stark contrast to Mark Reynolds' arrogance just days earlier. For the first time, she felt truly respected for her expertise and work. One board member said, "Ms. Johnson, your patience and dignity in the face of an unfair situation have inspired many. We would like to give you the opportunity to share your experience and support other entrepreneurs." Ava, moved but firm, replied, "I want this message to be clear: skin color should never be a barrier to opportunity or respect. If my experience can help others speak out and stand up for their rights, then I will be happy." The meeting turned into a constructive exchange on inclusive practices, and Ava was invited to collaborate directly with the department that oversaw equality and diversity within the bank. Every idea she proposed was met with interest and seriousness. Even Mark Reynolds was present at the meeting, visibly embarrassed. He didn't dare say another word as Ava calmly outlined her suggestions for improving customer service and treatment. He had lost not only the board's respect, but also the credibility he thought he possessed. As she left the meeting, Ava felt a sense of immense inner satisfaction. What had begun as public humiliation had transformed into recognition, influence, and real opportunities. Her patience, intelligence, and dignity had not only changed her personal situation, but had also sparked change within the bank. Ava Johnson's story quickly spread across the city. The video she posted was picked up by several local media outlets, then by blogs specializing in entrepreneurship and social justice. Everywhere, her calm, patience, and dignity in the face of discrimination were praised. At the bank, the impact was immediate. Employees understood that tolerance of favoritism or racism was no longer acceptable. Mandatory diversity and inclusion training was implemented, and Mark Reynolds was moved to a less exposed position under strict supervision. His professional reputation was seriously damaged. The board of directors took advantage of this situation to publicly reaffirm its values: Manhattan Trust Bank will never tolerate any form of discrimination. Every customer, every person, deserves respect and equality. This statement was widely reported by the media and received favorably by customers. Ava, for her part, continued to receive messages of support from entrepreneurs and professionals inspired by her dignity and strategy. She realized that her experience went far beyond her loan application. She had created a concrete example of intelligent resistance to injustice. What began as humiliation in a bank lobby turned into a powerful lesson: staying calm, documenting injustices, and acting intelligently can not only protect one's dignity, but also bring about real change. Ava knew this lesson wasn't just about the bank or Mark Reynolds. It was universal. In every unfair situation, patience and strategy are far more valuable than immediate anger. A few weeks later, Ava Johnson returned to the bank, but this time the reception was radically different. The employees greeted her with respect, and Mark Reynolds' office, now under strict supervision, was no longer an obstacle. Her loan application was processed quickly and efficiently. The board of directors personally ensured everything went smoothly. The loan was approved at a favorable rate, allowing Ava to finance the expansion of her design business and launch innovative new product lines. The impact of her courage and patience was felt far beyond the bank. The media continued to cover her story, presenting her as an example of resilience and determination. Customers flocked to her business, impressed by her success and integrity. Ava didn't just take this opportunity for herself. She used the platform her story gave her to support other minority entrepreneurs, sharing her experiences and offering advice on navigating an often unfair world. Mark Reynolds, meanwhile, had to face reality. His arrogance had not only tarnished his reputation, but had also paved the way for institutional change whose importance he could no longer ignore. Ava, on the other hand, walked with confidence, knowing that her dignity and intelligence had triumphed. This success wasn't just financial or professional. It was deeply personal. Ava had transformed humiliation into opportunity, injustice into influence, and demonstrated that patience and strategy could turn the tide of even the most adverse events. A few months after the incident, Ava Johnson was invited to a prestigious event to speak about entrepreneurship, diversity, and resilience. On stage, in front of a packed room of entrepreneurs, journalists, and financial professionals, she told her story with calm and conviction. "That day, I sat patiently and documented the injustice," she says. But it wasn't patience alone that made the difference. It was dignity, strategy, and refusing to let someone else define your worth. Her speech was greeted with warm applause. The admiring glances in the room reflected the respect and inspiration she had inspired. Ava had transformed a humiliating experience into a universal lesson about courage, perseverance, and integrity. As the event left, several young entrepreneurs approached her to congratulate her and ask for advice. Ava smiled, knowing that her victory went far beyond her own achievement. She had paved the way for others, demonstrating that even in the face of injustice and discrimination, inner strength and dignity can triumph. In her mind, Ava thought back to that morning at the bank. 3 hours of waiting and humiliation had seemed unbearable at the time, but they had been the catalyst for lasting change, not just for her, but for everyone who had followed her. As she gazed out over the city from the event's terrace, Ava felt a deep sense of satisfaction and empowerment. Her patience, perseverance, and courage had been rewarded, and she knew that no amount of arrogance or discrimination could ever again take away her dignity. The scene ended with a confident, triumphant smile. Ava Johnson was not only victorious, she had become a symbol of inspiration, a living example of the power of patience and dignity in the face of injustice.